Good evening and welcome to Targeted Massachusetts Northeast Conference. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Frank Allen. I'll be your host this evening. And welcome to another Wednesday night episode. It looks like ex-Vice President Biden might actually get in office. This could mean catastrophic events for us. Anybody like to get in the conversation? Feel free. I saw Ann. Let me see who we got here tonight. All right, we got Anonymous, we got Frank, we got Candy, we got Richard, Jordan, Australia, TI for Life, God Loves Peaches, Sets, David, Tracy, Connie, Ann, Montana, Anonymous, and Name, and ABC, and myself. So we've got a good start. Not even 9 yet. I figured I'd give you the last 15 minutes so you could start loosening up a little bit. And I don't know if you had a chance to watch any of those videos, but Truth Stream Media is always good, and they are getting censored. And I've learned that I have actually been censored off of public broadcasting. I found another station that I'm negotiating with, and so we'll be back on the air soon.
Hey Frank, this is Gary. How are you tonight?
Hi Gary, I'm great. How are you doing?
Doing all right. Is your Republic radio show during the weeknights, is that still on at the same time, or did you stop going that route?
Oh, no, I just mentioned that I got censored off of there, I believe, because the topics that we were getting into were very, very deep. And Twitter's even censoring the president now. So, I mean, if you censor the president of the United States, you've got a lot of moxie. And yeah. I really hope he gets reelected just so he can kick butt on this censorship. Because I'm sure that really antagonized him.
Now, your email, frank.thearcher@gmail.com?
That's not the one that I like to use. I have two new ones, actually, one that's old and one that's brand new. Frank at targetedmassachusetts.org, and the other one is Frank at AIHR.foundation. And that's the Allen Institute. Now, it's all about you guys. It's human rights. It's a human rights 501c3. And it's all about you guys and what we can do with it. We've got somebody with music on in the background. Sounds like you, Connie. Connie or ABC, one or the other. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Do you have any more questions? Or?
Oh, I'm gonna send you an article that I found today. It's some brain interface technology. It was an article came out of the UK. Apparently, there's a stent that they can put into one of the jugular veins, and it can interface your brain with Windows 10 operating system, which I thought was kind of unusual So I'm trying to send that to you now. I embarrassingly forgot how to spell Massachusetts.
Okay, you did find it though, right?
Yeah. I'm just. How do you spell Massachusetts? Massachusetts.
No, Chussetts.
Chussetts. Okay.
That's it. Yep.
And that's
And the new one is easy.
.org.
Frank
Okay.
at targetedmassachusetts.org. And the other one's easy. It's Frank at AIHR.foundation, the full word.
And that's .org.
No, that's .foundation.
Oh,
I know it sounds weird, but it's AIHR.foundation. But it's great to be here tonight, and it's very therapeutic for me since I've been getting really slammed around. I got knocked out by the bastards last night, and I woke up on the floor, and I didn't know how I got there. I knew where I was going, but I did not know how I got there. I just smashed my elbow up a little bit and my wrist, but no damage.
Sorry to hear that, Frank, but I want to wish you luck on your new endeavors of where you might travel to find you some new ground to work at with the radio. And, well, maybe RBN is having a little trouble with the truth these days, too.
Yeah, that's what I gather. They don't, they've been told by higher-ups not to, I mean, we've been hitting them really hard with the stuff we have on there. And Google took 50% of our episodes off of Google.
Wow.
YouTube. Actually, probably a little more than 50%. So somebody is really enthralled with our subject matter. But I don't care. You know, I told this new producer, I said, when I get on there, I'll tell you straight up, I'm going to hammer the hell out of everyone with the truth. No lies, just the truth. And the truth seems to be what hurts. And the government doesn't like to hear the truth. Now, I think Mr. Trump is being handed a bad deal with this election because it's the first time in the history of the United States that we've ever had mostly all mail-in ballots. And he said right from the beginning that I don't like this mail-in ballot routine. And I can see why now. They can take a list of death records and just sign the name, and away they go. Do 100,000 of those.
Yeah, but doesn't that name have to match up with the registration roll?
Well, you'd think so, but somebody doesn't seem to care about whether anything matches up or not. Now, it was my understanding that there would be a more presence of the National Guard in the voting station. That's what was supposed to happen. Anybody run into that?
Well, what I heard last week or so has more or less been the fact that it's already a corruption matter, and even the president himself made a statement that once the polls were closed, that was it. There was not to be any more voting, and so there's already a problem somewhere.
Yeah, well, there's a problem to begin with. I mean, the elections always ended at midnight, period. Ever since I can remember. And they had a few absentee votes, and they were usually our servicemen that were abroad that couldn't be there to vote. Now it's anybody can do an absentee vote. Now that's bullshit to me, because that should be reserved for the troops. Mail-in ballots are bullshit. Anybody can do that. Fake somebody's signature. And this guy, Biden, is lucky he's got 3 gray cells left. So he's going to be manipulated by the Democrats and by his vice president. Trump was right. He doesn't know where he is half the time, or most of the time. Every time I hear him make a speech, he falls out of the speech, forgets what he's talking about, and has to come up with something to fill in. You know, so I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do with this guy. What do you think, Richard?
Well, I think if he doesn't make it in office, we should probably do a GoFund for him to take a very long vacation and get some cognitive regeneration going. He's definitely got some issues. I can see the strings, the puppet strings, all around whatever he says.
Oh, yeah.
So he's not speaking for himself, which is probably why he can't keep it straight. He's definitely speaking for someone else.
Yeah, and he's always got a prompter, just like Obama. He probably got that from Obama, but Mr. Trump never uses a prompter. He speaks from his gut, and he doesn't need a prompter. So that kind of tells you right there. This is coming off President Trump's head. It's not coming off of a pre-written speech by a manipulative speechwriter. So I don't know. I mean, speechwriters have been around a long time, all the way back. Because, a lot of the guys are real smart, but they don't really know what to say. So they have a speechwriter. Mr. Nixon was one who depended heavily on his speechwriter. So
yeah. So did Bill. Yeah. Mr. Bill Clinton did too. I've been watching the guys around Biden in their coats, some of them with the long coats. I've been looking to see if there was any AK-47s, anything like that hanging out under the coats, because I don't know, he just seems scared all the time, upset about something.
Yeah, well, he's worried they're going to shoot him.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's got more long coats than my Uncle Vince's funeral.
Yeah.
I know. They've got some... it reminded me of... oh, God. It reminded me of a movie. Right now I'm being perped and guilty of the same thing that Biden's got. But maybe he's a target. Who knows? He sure acts like it.
Yeah.
But
I was thinking about that when I was watching him make a speech, and it was like he was garbling. Like not so very long ago, you started seeing like news people in the media start to, like, they'd be saying something and all of a sudden it sounded like gobbledygook.
Yeah. Oh, that was the Matrix, by the way.
All right.
Oh, go ahead. Debbie, I just wanted to say that was the Matrix I was thinking of, with the long coats full of weapons.
Oh, yeah. Well, my Uncle Vince Palazzolo, he was who he was. And I remember at his funeral, my youngest son said, "Ma, why are they all wearing long coats?" And I said, "Don't worry about it. And if anybody offers you a job, say no."
Yeah, especially if they're wearing them long.
Let me say, on my mail-in ballot, and I simply mailed it in because I didn't want to stand in a 3-hour line like what happened last time here. And but on the back of the ballot, the signature's got to be witness, and that's what I had to do. I had to get a witness, and not only does the witness look at the verify the person is signing the ballot, but they've got to put their address down. So there is a verification process that can be held on any mail-in ballot to see that it's valid.
Well, they could do it legally by just saying the cemetery, the address of that particular cemetery where the guy is interred.
But there's got to be a witness signature, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah,
for anybody.
Okay, yeah.
What?
No, I was making a lot of jokes, actually, and I shouldn't.
Well, I was watching a video with the Lieutenant Governor of Pennsylvania, and he was quite disrespectful when the newscaster was asking him about the counting and how it was going and everything. And I got really frustrated, and I responded because he said, well, they can stand on a corner if they want and yell whatever about the law. He said, we still have to count them. And that's not what Giuliani was saying. Giuliani was saying that there is a precedent, and it's called that both sides have the ability by law to observe the counting. In other words, to see that the ballot, as this man was saying, was signed, and to make sure that everything was apropos, and everything was legal. And either side could dispute it. But this lieutenant governor made fun of him. And I said, really? And I just kind of, reminding him that he was voted into where he, his position.
Right,
and
exactly.
The American people still have a right to know what's going on. And I also reminded him that even though this is, day after election, President Trump is still the president, because he was being very disrespectful. And that's just, how it's kind of been.
Maybe there's another play going on. Maybe they're going to arrest Joe Biden for influence peddling for his son to get a lot of money, in the meantime. Who knows?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's probably taking a plane over to China right now to grab some more bucks.
And there's also another country involved that this guy was wheeling and dealing with. I can't remember the name. Burisma, wherever the hell that is. Yeah, he was involved in several of these shady deals that included his father's name.
Yeah, I was thinking too, now this is not to insult, I'm just changing topics here till everybody locks in on something. But BLM, why don't we split the white race back into its clans? Irish lives matter. Italian lives matter. English lives matter. French lives
Don't
matter.
forget the Indians.
Indian lives matter. Native American lives matter.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm trying to say is the white race is broken down into a myriad of subcultures who all came over here. And the Scots, I mean, we should all go back to our original clans. And we'll go out in the street and we'll have a clan meeting with like 50 clans. So, you know, everyone's lives matter. That's what I'm trying to say. You see, we're not just white, black, yellow. We're people, and everyone's lives matter. And I don't know, it should be ELM. Everyone's lives matter.
Yeah, you got to include
Because
the animals too.
Yeah, well, it seems like BLM is great, and then they have an auto-infiltration unit that comes in and starts burning buildings. Doesn't work for me.
Well, that's why we have come to the conclusion, all of us have, that it's ALM, all lives matter, and most can see that. Some don't see that. They got a terrible, terrible mess going on in France over there, and a couple of ladies were actually beheaded in France.
Yes.
And, it was caused by some of the new members of France, and they're Muslim, and France let them come in, and they took up their little space, and now they're running around wreaking havoc. And, well, some of those same people are here in America. And
yeah, that's right.
So,
and did you know that the Irish people, when they came over here, along with a whole lot of others, the Irish people were enslaved. And if they weren't enslaved, they were indentured servants, which meant that they had to work to pay off their passage across the Atlantic. But so Irish were enslaved, and they finally broke their way out of it. But they did. So there's a lot of people that have been involved in slavery in one way or another. And it's, I'll do research and I'll get you all of them that came to the United States. Yes.
Sorry. Slavery didn't start in Africa. It started in Rome. It started
in Rome, yeah.
Before Jesus was born.
That's true.
And Rome.
Oh, slavery's been around for years.
Oh, yeah. The Egyptians enslaved the Israel, the nation of Israel and the nation of Judah. It's been around a long time.
Well, the biggest thing is, if you can get somebody else to do something for you without you doing it, I'm not speaking for myself, that was the thing to do. And instead of paying them, well, if you could grab them and throw them in irons and make them do it, well, you were ahead of the dollar.
yeah, and it's a crazy thought, but the Irish actually fought their way out of their situation, mainly because of the war. Most of the guys went to war, a lot of the Irish, and they were well known for being called the Fighting Irish. And there's a book written about a family called Sullivans, and they were called the Fighting Sullivans. It was a bunch of brothers, and they pretty much everyone went to war.
Yeah, the Irish were enslaved in the beginning by England, and I hate the English of that particular era. They had the Irish enslaved, and they'd take their women, and I think there's a couple of good movies out about it. But it's been terrible for everyone, and I don't like to see the black people getting enslaved when they came over, but that happened.
Hey, Frank, can you ask that man to talk a little louder?
Oh, am I talking too soft? Sure.
No, the other man is talking really soft. I can't hardly hear him.
Okay, Richard, can you speak up a little?
Thank you.
Okay, I can. I'm sorry. I apologize.
When I'm Native American, and I would not be here if it were not for my great-great-grandmother. They were on what you would call a reservation. That's an American term. And it was all the women and children, because all the men were out fighting, and they were slaughtered. And the U.S. military came in and killed all the women and children, my family, my ancestors. And as the colonel was on horseback, and he was leading the brigade, and this is all up at the National Archives, and as he was leaving on his horseback, he heard a baby crying. So he turned around and he went back and he seen a little baby, a little Native American infant crying in the arms of the deceased. It would be my great-great-great-grandma laying there dead. And he swooped up the baby and he took the baby home as a little girl and he raised her. His name was Bradshaw, Colonel Bradshaw. And so she was raised as a Bradshaw, but she was actually a Sauk. She was Sauk under Cherokee. They were the real deal. And a lot of my family were walking sticks, and they were on the Trail of Tears, and they escaped and went up into the Smokies, where Sevier County, Tennessee is. That's where Dollywood is. And matter of fact, my grandfather, my father's father, was born and raised where Dollywood is. And when his mother died, Hetty Husky, she was full Native American. I have a picture of her. There's no denying her. She sold the land, or I'm sorry, her daughters did when she died, to Dolly Parton. And I'm related to the whole area. But anyway, I wouldn't be here if it weren't for that. And if you said, this has been going on a long time. You know, and I had a third great-grandfather who also was a slave. I also have a great-great-grandfather, Hetty Husky, my great-grandma. Her father was an African-American. He delivered milk. He was a cattle guy, but he delivered milk all around in the farm. But my great-great-great-grandfather, James Napoleon Myers, who Hetty Husky married his grandson, little Andy Myers. He started the first free school. Believe it or not, they really did walk miles and miles to go to school. And you have to think back; they didn't have much transportation other than Conestoga wagons and what have you, wagons, horses. They were lucky if they had a horse. And he started the first free school because they made kids pay for school back then. And he was born a slave. And as a baby, the Moyers, Blackburn, very famous line, Gideon Blackburn. But anyway, it's been going on a long time. Slavery. And people that are of color or whom the so-called negative eugenicists, the arrogance that they are, they're very cavalier. And they feel they have, they're born with a silver spoon out there in their mouth. So they have this cavalier attitude already. and they have everything, right there for them. The science, the scientist part of it in the military and in the intelligence is putting us in this. And I just don't know if they listen to people like Snowden. I don't know. And they understand what they're doing. We're now solidly going into a major depopulation, and a lot of people are waking up to it. A lot. There's a video right now of a lady. She was a former UN senior advisor, and she's blowing individuals right now. I understand maybe she might have been arrested in Vienna. They might have locked her up. So I have a link to the video if anybody wants it. You can listen to her. And she's not alone. So maybe we're getting some help. I mean, she actually says targeted individuals, and she's talking about what they're doing to us. And they know that they're next. So we're not alone. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. You there? Hello?
Oh, I'm always here.
Anybody there? Richard? All right, I'm so glad, Frank. I don't know what I'd do if you weren't there. But I don't know about anybody, but the targeting was off the charts the last few days. I mean, anybody else? It was really bad. I was getting blasted.
Yeah, very bad. Whenever they start drinking, that's when I get attacked.
I used to have over 600 videos on YouTube. I filmed all the chemtrails, and it was horrendous. And so I learned a lot, and I've seen a lot. And they're still spraying. I've seen it yesterday, way up high. And I can tell when you think the sky is kind of blue, look really good, it is milky. They're spraying heavy. And so what I do is I jump over to a few insiders that are speaking out about, the solar energies coming in. And there was a major solar flare about 4 days ago or so. And it takes a few days for it to get here. And when it gets like that, they spray heavy. And it's coming down on us. Yeah. So if you got any iodine, food-grade iodine, put it on under your tongue, because we're getting hit with a lot of radiation, and the system that's targeting us, it's like a solar Skynet. And so when that's coming in, it is going to be more powerful. And I have, hands down, seen that for years now, for several years. I've monitored it. And when them solar flares are coming in, we're going to get hit harder, some of us. I couldn't even find refuge on the floor. I mean, I was getting blasted. I have the AI on me, artificial intelligence. And, I'll hear it come through the sky. I'll hear it. And if I go anywhere near my website, it goes, I think it's a trigger, but I'm going to be honest, they had that thing on me for a long time. They released it well over 50 plus years ago. And they released it on me and everybody around me. I was a teenager. And it all goes back to them taking me. And the irony. I'm sorry. What's that?
You should go listen.
You're breaking up. I'm sorry. Say that again. Hello?
Hi, can you speak up again? You were just breaking up.
When I was a baby, my birth mother left me at birth. I'm not the only kid she left behind. And my grandparents immediately took me, and their youngest daughter, and they fast got in front of a judge. She was running around with all these military guys, and we were 50 miles outside Washington, D.C. That
Okay,
base is no
Chris,
longer there.
careful.
Fort Halliburton. Oh, okay. Well, anyway.
No, just
I
stay on your
it all
topic.
relates to the artificial intelligence. Yeah, well,
Yeah,
it
okay. I
relates.
was going to ask you about your immediate targeting today. You know, what do you have?
Yeah, I get synthetic thoughts first. I did not know until Dwight Magnum proved it to me. I'll never forget it. When I fled Florida and moved up to the mountains, and I was about a half hour from Dwight, and he came up. He's a good guy, and he has done some things that he could not help. I've watched him taking over, and I miss him. I really do. He's a good guy, very intelligent. But anyway, he had me go outside with I didn't hear anything at that point. He gave me a digital recorder and told me to go sit out in the car, and it was in the mountains, so it was very quiet at night. And then he told me to hold it up to my head, and so I did for quite a while. He took it home and put it on his computer. He had a special software of some kind that would pull, the sound that we can't hear out of it. And without him knowing anything about me, he said that I was getting thoughts sent in my head about my grandparents who raised me. And they were both killed. And they were murdered by the very guys that came from that military base. And that's when they came at me with, they took me out of body twice. I'll be honest, I really now believe that it was a mind thing. It was more than that. I don't want to go into it. It was heavy-duty stuff that happened to me as a teenager, and I thought, I don't believe in aliens. I thought it was interdimensional. I didn't know what, I was going to the library, grabbing books about, just name it, Atlantis, and on and on and on, and I couldn't figure it out. So, but anyway, and then who'd have known that in 1994 I'm laying on the couch, my husband's in the other room sleeping, and there's somebody tickling my feet. Now, my husband and I could feel something there, and so did I. It was a presence. Little did we know they were experimenting with, more than likely, augmented virtual reality, artificial intelligence, because they already had the signals in the air by then. And a lot of people say in 1994 something happened to them. And it just kind of messed me and my husband's lives up. We were like, okay, let's move from this apartment. I got something following me. And I am relating it as a teenager. And he thinks it's a guardian angel, not me. I was picking up bad vibes. And I even was getting thoughts put in my head that something was going to happen to him.
Okay, Chris, that's like...
It connected with... Oh, okay. Well, I'm just saying, I got it. They put something in my mind as a teenager to take $500 out of my jewelry box, which I had in there, and play a certain number. I went to work the next day, and I totally forgot about it, the thought, until that night when I seen the winning lottery number. I thought, oh, wow. So I spent years saying, God, whatever that was, I wish it would come back and give me the number again, not realizing that the government was experimenting on me. And they came back.
I've never seen a perp yet do anything good.
Oh, me either. Same here. This is, Frank, it's not our friend. I follow Dr. Robert Duncan. I highly advise everyone should read his works. Frank has a PDF. That's a good PDF you got on your website of him. It's a little more extensive than what I found online. And he does have a letter on there that he sent, I don't know, 30... I'm sorry, go ahead.
If you go to our website now, there's a
Right.
pop-up. You have a choice to either join our newsletter or not. And all you have to do is hit the down arrow and it'll get out of your way. If you hit the no thanks, you'll never see it again. So you might want to hit the down arrow in case you change your mind.
I've joined. It's really, this is, if I may, this is barbaric. You gotta admit, Frank, this is barbaric. What the one...
We all know there's no words. We all know that there's no words that actually can describe it. What we need are solutions. So, Chris, do you have any solutions that you could add?
Dr. Robert Duncan, about a week and a half ago, wrote on his timeline, Facebook, that he advised targets to go to the Senate. Look, and I looked it up. He said, look up the committees. So we want to go to the Senate committee and ask for a hearing. Now, we have a UN lady who is now went public at a table with other men from the UN. And she was a former senior high level. And she is...
Who is she?
Explicitly talking about, and she said, I'm afraid to open up my email program. I just got it, and I sent it out on the big...
I wouldn't worry about it.
I don't want to mess up... No, well, I mean, I don't know. I'm
trying. Do you know her name?
I just put it out there, and I'm going to look for it now. I just didn't want to open my email program. I'm on Skype.
Claire Edwards. This is Jesse.
Bear with me here.
Guys do it. Her name is Claire Edwards.
Yes. Yes.
About her. Yeah, I'd never seen her before, and my MUFON investigator friend, lady who's does a lot of research, sent me the interview and the link that probably might be what you're referring to. It's worthy.
Yeah.
Hi, Jesse. How you doing?
Everybody.
I'm doing all right, Frank. I could relate with a couple of things you said. The targeting for me went.
Jesse. Yeah.
I sent it to you.
You sent that to me, Jesse. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't.
Thank you.
I don't remember doing that. But you're welcome.
Yeah.
But
you
anyway.
Did it earlier today, anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I
email.
I'm always my modus operandi is not to entertain too much the pain, the torment that I go through, but talk about the positive things.
Mm-hmm.
Frank, you mentioned
we've got Quincy. Yeah, we've got Quincy, Massachusetts here. That might be Roland D.
Say that again.
I personally think. I'm sorry.
What was that again?
Oh, we've got Quincy, Massachusetts. Okay, we've got Quincy, Massachusetts here. That could very well be Romola D. I don't know of any other TI that lives in Quincy, Massachusetts. Maybe this will be the first time. I'm sorry I muted you, Chris, but you're getting into 14, 15, 16 minutes, and if you're getting into a conversation with someone else, that's great, but if you're just getting long-winded with history, we're looking for cures here, not history. Basically, because we are all targeted in basically the same way. So what we need are cures, or not so much a cure, but at least a countermeasure. So if anyone has a good countermeasure, that's what this call is all about, solving the mystery, coming up with a countermeasure that we can spread far and wide. Jesse, you want to take the call just for about 2 minutes? I've got to make some coffee.
Sure, you bet. And
Thank
appreciate
you,
that, Frank. That's what I was going to talk about for myself. So, just to preface what my experience has been like just over the past about year and a half. And mine has gone on for about coming up on 24 years, but I was injected with something that we're believing that may have been an AI nanotech. We don't know for sure yet, but what we do know is I just took my temperature. It's 102.5. I have no COVID, and I'm not feeling any kind of, the types of flu symptoms you might feel when you have a fever. And this has been going on, like I said, for about a year and a half now. But what the countermeasures that I do for myself, and I do it as much as I can every day, whether I'm suffering or not, is the heart math and the meditation stuff that I do that's very, very powerful and effective for me. So I also work my body. I had a friend of mine up over the weekend. We did sprints out on the lawn, and I found that I don't get tired. I'm a smoker. I smoke at least a pack a day, and I don't get tired the way a smoker would. So anyway, I think a lot of that has to do with my focus and kind of dedication as much as I. But I noticed that other people that I know do the same thing, that I also have similar results.
Hey,
That's
Jesse,
what I
you've
had
got
to
some background noise.
Somebody's got background noise. It's not me, though.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Hey, Richard, you in here still?
Yes, sir. We're still around. How are you, Jesse?
I'm doing pretty good. I really wanted to let you know how much I appreciate you checking in on me when I was going through the last few days and weekend. And I didn't answer your last text back, but I just wanted to let you know how much that means to me. And, there's always somebody that, that you can reach out to and that cares about you. So I just want to let you know how much I appreciate that.
Well, you're very welcome, Jesse. And we do that. We try to connect with as many in the run of a day as possible. We try to keep up with everyone that is especially going through a bad time, and just a word of support in any way we can. And I'm glad you're doing better. You sound good.
Yeah, I'm doing better. I got a whole bunch of sleep and 2-hour stints. You guys can probably relate. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we have a big issue that we really could work on, and that is being alone. They're capable of doing an awful lot of things as long as we're alone, and I happen to believe and have a lot of actual reasons to believe that there's a lot of things they can't do when we're not. So I would beg to try to have everyone possible connected to someone daily, if not even try to, team up together. And I know it's hard. I know things are the way they are. They don't want us together. They're going to do all they can to disrupt and separate and isolate. And, well, that's one of the fighting grounds that we could all kind of stick it to them a little bit.
Mark.
Yeah.
Well, Richard, there's a female here.
Wait, Chris?
She won't speak with me.
Chris, can you blank it out? There's Anonymous trying to speak. Go ahead, please, Anonymous.
Who's Anonymous?
I don't know. She started speaking and then went blank. I don't know if that's her connection or he just stopped speaking. I'll give you a minute.
Yeah, I heard her too.
Oh, they're in season somewhere.
Okay, so there's a girl in Maryland. Huggy.
Where's she at?
I don't know.
We've got someone that's anonymous listed on the call that starts to speak and then gets blanked out. So hopefully you'll be able to come back in and speak.
Yes, I'm going to try and... Go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I didn't know you were going to come back.
No, that's okay. I put the coffee on and it's brewing. So go right ahead. And Jesse, I didn't mean to...
Okay.
Jesse was speaking as well. So speak with Jesse for a couple of minutes.
Jesse can go ahead. I'm listening.
I was actually just trying to encourage everyone else to speak up that hasn't had an opportunity or needs to say something.
Great. Fantastic. Go ahead, Quincy Mass.
Oh, I'm Quincy. I didn't know that. When you kept saying Quincy, I was like, who's Quincy? The cell phones are really strange because they'll map you where you're not, somewhere else that I'm not in Quincy, but that's cool.
You're in Boston.
But
in Quincy, Boston, somewhere.
Near Boston area. But I just wanted to say that I totally agree with what what's his name? The gentleman who was just speaking.
Richard.
I agree with what Richard was just saying. How like they work overtime to keep us isolated and alone. It's like that's like really 50% thought. I'm sure have support or companionship or friendship or whatever it be, and they see doing it, kind of like projecting that out whenever they come into contact with you, like just trying to make you feel like you're alone. But then I was reflecting a few days ago about the whole isolation bit, and I realized that we're actually never alone. Like, and a lot of people say that, but what I mean is, like, just think about it. If we're being remote viewed 24 hours a day, they're constantly near us, like we're literally never alone. And I think that subconsciously we're tricked into feeling like we're alone, and because they're trying to project that as well. We're tricked into feeling like we're alone. But the problem is actually the opposite. We're actually never alone, which is not healthy. If we had opportunities to be in our own personal private space with nothing but our thoughts and with God and ourselves, that would be healthier. You know what I mean? Like, that would be healthier. But instead, we're never alone. They're always watching. They're always listening. They're always around. They're always attacking. They're always harassing, making the target feel, exhausted and angry. You know what I mean? So I actually don't feel like the problem is that, the problem is that you don't have support, companionship, and friendship, in relationships, but as far as being alone, there are people, even celebrities can tell you that, life is lonely, celebrities who are surrounded by people all the time, like there's always somebody there. They're always going to their parties and, they have hundreds of friends or whatever. Like, they'll tell you life is lonely just the same. So that's something I was just reflecting on when we were just talking about how they want to make us feel isolated. Isolation is an illusion because we're literally never alone.
Exactly.
Well, I was trying to make the point that by ourselves, as far as support goes, not by ourselves as far as the perps or harassers go, but by ourselves without a support person or someone to communicate with on a regular basis, someone to have around, they can do less. Even when I'm on the phone with other people, it actually protects me. I've had things happen to me while I was on the phone that other people heard. If you get hit with electronics, there has been talk of recordings of the noises made and things happening. I'm just saying, as far as support goes, naturally we're not alone because we got the perps and the harassers. But as a community, isolation is one of their tools. I'm just saying, as far as looking for solutions to break their tools or make their tools useless, coming together with others would be our tool, our counteraction to their isolation.
Yes, I understand that. I'm sorry if I miscommunicated, because I was kind of like trying to convey, like, you know, another side of that thought, like another angle of the thought that you were communicating. What I was trying to say is, isolation is an loneliness is an illusion, you know. And like I understand what you're saying, and I agree 100%. But loneliness is an illusion, and the reason why I tried to bring that up is because we just said that we want to encourage each other, and that we want to say some things that, you know, can help ourselves just get some perspective, you know. So
Quincy,
what I meant to say is that loneliness is an illusion. I didn't mean to undercut what you were saying about,
Quincy,
you know, the fact that coming together is a great tool in counteracting their tactics, because I agree 1,000% it is. But what I was thinking about is it's so hard to come together because you literally don't know who is genuinely targeted. First of all, you don't meet other targeted individuals on the street. Okay, that's another thing. You don't just meet other targeted individuals. That's the first thing. And the second thing is that when you do meet people, you don't know if they're genuinely targeted or not. You don't know their history, their background. You don't know if they're criminals. You just don't know. You know, so it's just really hard to sort of like, you know, meet somebody, you know, who is targeted, and then, you know, develop a, you know, affiliation with them, you know, so to speak.
Well, as Mr. Jesse just said, as Mr. Jesse just said a minute ago, he appreciated my calls and my text to check on him, let him know that someone was there, that someone cared about what he was going through, that it helped him and gave him enough support, regardless of what they do. I don't care what they do. They're going to do what they're going to do. It's up to us to try to do the opposite in every case. And, well, I would beg to differ simply because many TIs, being truthful and honest with themselves, even though they've got perps around them all the time, definitely still feel a little bit alone. And it's not an illusion.
I'd like to expound on what you guys just said, both Richard and Quincy Mass. I agree with both of you. I think you have differing views, but I really liked, Quincy Mass, your opinion on loneliness. That was a really good observation. And to expound on what you said, they do a really good job at isolating our emotions from the people we're emotionally connected to. So you can be surrounded by people and feel really lonely, because you're not intimately connected to them. Intimate meaning, like you have intimate relationships with people that you're close to. You can tell your sister anything. Those are the relationships that separate you from your children, from your parents, from your siblings, from your relatives. And then you have strangers, whether it's an illusion, an AI, or not, it's actual like handlers or gang stalkers, whatever. The perception of being surrounded by people, strangers, who do terrible things to us is beyond unnerving and sadistic, right? And at the same time, we're isolated in an emotional sense. So I can have my kids over for dinner, but they broke those bonds with them. So I'm isolated from my children. And it makes it really, really lonely. And I think that can kind of, you did a really good comparison with celebrities, and they do the same thing. That's why celebrities feel so lonely, because I'm sure, some of them, because they're severed from those intimate relationships when you're famous and all those things, even though they have assistants everywhere, So that was a really good comparison. I also agree with Richard. I wish there was ways that people could connect and buddy up or roommate, or, at least have sounding boards with each other to say, hey, this is exactly what, and these calls are good for, hey, this is what happened to me today, but I think we all kind of, it depends on the situation and what we feel like saying at the moment, but it's hard to say, hey, this is what they did to me today, on a really close, intimate way with 50 other people, even though,
Excuse me.
Right, he said we all experience targeting.
Excuse me. I just wanted to say that, a phone tree works. You have...
It's me, Frank. It's Lily.
Yeah. Hi, Lily. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good.
If you want to develop a phone tree, one person calls the next. That person calls another. And it's just a big circle to make sure everyone is okay. We used to do that.
That's a good idea, too. I know Ella does that on Facebook.
Well, in fact, it does work, Frank. Thank you for saying that, because I speak to at least 15 to 20 people every 24 hours, and I add people to the list. Some not every day. Some don't need it every day, but I connect them to other people. So it's not necessary for me and them to communicate every day. Once I connect them with others, especially others that are close to them. I've got a gentleman in Utah right now that is looking forward to meeting a young lady over there, and some people down in Alabama. Miss Deb down there is a new lady that has just come on board, and several in South Carolina, North Carolina, all over the place. And we connect with other people with other people. And every day when I speak to one, we go through the whole routine of, well, who did you speak to today? Who did you check on today? And there's always a long list. They're always proud to say, yes, I called so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. And it does work. And it's not going to work for everyone, but it is a solution to being isolated and not having anyone to talk to.
And Richard, can I just back up what you just said from a scientific point of view, I guess a scientific spiritual point of view. So when we connect with each other and we have open hearts and caring and compassion and actual emotions running through our body while we're talking to someone that we care, we appreciate about, that literally sends information into what we call the quantum field. And it's a non-local field where you can be directly connected to someone energetically that's in your space. But the more we feed that information, data, energy into the field between us, we create a thing called coherence. And we can feed anything we want into that field and get results. And I can give you just one example from my own experience. I applied for disability based on complex severe PTSD. And I never even had to actually go through the process, complete the process of getting a psychiatric eval. I'd already been through all that. But what had happened was I ended up butting heads with this lady. I'm not going to use her name, but this lady at the Social Security Administration in my state. And she was just a mean, angry biddy is what she was. And so I did a public disclosure about that, a live stream on Facebook. And I said her first name and her last name, where she lives, what she does for a living. She's got at least 2 different hats. She sits on the town council. So I learned about all this stuff and did public disclosure. So, and I'm still going through counseling, and my counselor asked me the other day, well, what was the thing that they diagnosed you with so that they could give you money for this PTSD? What was the actual diagnosis? And I said the actual diagnosis they never completed, but the diagnosis is I'm standing up to you people. I'm not sitting here begging. I'm going to be honest and courageous, and I'm not taking any more crap from you people. So if you want to send me money every month, great. If not, I'll figure it out. And the next thing I know, I get a call from this woman's boss, the head honcho over the whole security administration in Wyoming. And she says to me, Jesse, we just want to get you as much money as we can, just as quickly as we can. And that's what happened. And then it started. That started about, I think it was in April of this last year. So anyway, that's one way that I walk the walk. And I risk a lot. I risk, more targeting. But the thing that I've found is when you stand up to bullies who you can actually put your finger on, and you don't hold a grudge, but you're just setting a boundary that I'm not going to allow any more abuse. So anyway, I know I got a little bit carried away and hopefully not off subject there, but it has everything to do with what I'm feeding the field, not what somebody else is or what I want to do with blaming people for my suffering, but just feed it what I want in return. Courage, passion, forgiveness, as much as I can muster that, and my own personal power that I can use to help other people and not be selfish with. So that's kind of my, in a nutshell.
Well, and I would like to encourage you to use your wits and your power and your efforts and accomplishments to share with others that are going through the same things, and that goes back to the connecting, and it does work. There's some people that would say, oh, no, that don't work. Well, it's proven fact it does work. So thank you for that story.
Can I ask a question?
I actually agree that it works. I'm not contesting that at all. I totally agree that it does.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead, please.
So I really liked, Jesse, your explanation. Before I ask my question, I wanted to thank Gary, if you're still on the line, for sending me Frank's information so that I could be on this call tonight, because I was really in a bad place.
Oh, yeah, no problem, Deb.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My question is, Jesse, you said that by reaching out and caring for other people and showing them that you do care, it's been my observation, and I wonder if you think this is true as well, this is something AI cannot imitate. AI doesn't have soul. It doesn't have emotions. It only has data. And that's how we can beat it.
Yeah, and I can give you my, I think, well-educated opinion on that, and it really comes from something that William Benny said just recently. And for anybody that doesn't know who Bill Benny is, he's probably one of the most important whistleblowers. Before Ed Snowden came out, and like Karen Melton, he was an NSA, I think he was an analyst as well, and a programmer. Anyway, he
I've heard his testimony.
Yeah, and he said that it works both ways. So when you feed back, the feedback loop, feeding information back to AI, if that's what's actually going on, it will take that information and spread it and do something with it that's correlated to the energy that you're sending back, just like you're sending it into the field. And all AI is not bad. AI is learning and programming, and so if I label all AI bad, well, I've lost the battle, and I'm just fighting all of the time. So I totally agree. It may be data, but remember, artificial intelligence means intelligence, actual intelligence. So that doesn't mean evil intelligence, although that's what a lot of it is. But I think that's my take on it, and I always want to go into the positive. I never want to go into the negative, powerless, and victim place. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. Anybody else have any?
Yes, I do. To help someone else is one of the greatest gifts that you can be given. The opportunity to help someone else.
Yes, and it's not always about targeting. I spent a couple hours on the phone this afternoon helping some ladies figure out how to use their battery charger because something happened to the batteries on 2 cars at the same time. So it's just a matter of being there for those who need. And it's not hard to do. You do get in the car and go if you can. But I mean, if you can't, just give them a call.
That's right.
I agree.
You have to apologize.
Is someone trying to talk?
You have to accept my apologies because.
Go ahead, Richard.
Well, I was just getting around to saying that I get a little passionate about all this, and I realize that I do. But the thing is I'm sick up past my ears of what they can do and what we can't do, because we can. And all we have to do is find a way, which is the solutions we should be looking for constantly, concentrating on what we can do and how to get it done instead of what they're capable of doing. And, well, just quickly, as far as the AI goes, I wish those guys all the luck in the world. I really feel sorry for all of those smart people with all of that money that are wasting their time trying to come up with what is already here, and that is us, because we are great and we will never be duplicated.
That was awesome.
Amen. Now, Richard, you were saying earlier that you were asking if anybody else had any helpful tips, like any coping strategies or tactics, just to help, counteract some of what we experience. One thing I've noticed is that when I record them, when they're recorded, that really bothers them. Like some of them, some of them become hostile, but others stop, cease from harassing. Like they don't, like if they live with you, that's another problem. Or if the stalkers live with you, and I live with my stalkers. So, but as far as outside, when I go outside in public, and I'm recording and stuff like that, people may get angry and ask me why I'm recording, but at the same time, there's only so much they can do and say while I'm recording. So that's what I do. When I go out in public, I bring my cell phone, and if I see somebody following me, like if I know if I'm being followed or watched or, strange behavior or whatever, harassing behavior, I'll take my cell phone out in a minute and I'll record. because there is no, you know what I mean? I've studied the laws about recording in public versus, recording it privately, recording on private property. Like, I've studied all these different policies and things like that surrounding recording. And it is illegal to record somebody against their will, but it's also illegal to stalk and harass people. So if it ever came down to it in court, and the judge asked you, why did you record this person against their will? Well, judge, they were, following me, stalking me, harassing me, whatever they're doing. So that's something useful that I've learned.
There's no law against that, ma'am. You can do that every day of the week.
Against?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, you mean the recording in public?
Yep.
Yeah, well, the cops will say, a few police have tried to tell me, oh, it's against, the law to record somebody against their will. But then when I went to court, because I've had to take two gang stalkers to court, and the judge tells me that recording in public is okay, but if you record in a place of residence, like in an apartment building, or a business or something like that, for some reason the laws are different. Like, whether if it's an apartment building or a building or a business or something like that. But yeah, I know public is okay. But that's just one of the things that I have learned to do, because it does seem to kind of limit what they can do and say to you, and I even thought that all gang stalkers, not all stalkers, but targets should have body cams. Like, we should invest in getting body cams, and we should just be body cammed up when we go out of the house. Like, if you're the type of target where a lot of what you experience, the harassment you experience, happens when you leave the house, then you should leave the house body cammed up. Because that way, regardless of what happens, you will have videos of it. When it comes down to it, if you have to take, if the police have to be called, if you have to take this person to court or whatever, and the more discreet it is, the better, because a lot of the reason why we can't catch these individuals in the act is because they know we're recording. But if they didn't know we were recording, you would be able to catch some of the stuff that they do, So that's just one helpful tip that I can think of right now. Hopefully I'll have more in the future.
Well, I would like to remind that if you had a teammate or even teammates, when you go out, positioning themselves in certain places or doing certain things, acting normal as if they don't know you, then you can probably get a whole lot more. So working together is very important if you can come up with someone that is willing to do so. I've managed to do so, and even in some cases hired people and paid people to be at a certain place at a certain time with a camera, and even some as security people in the area that I chose to be in at a certain place and time. And so, we have to stop giving them so much credit. We've got as much smarts as they've got. Maybe we don't have the technologies they have, but we could still make a big difference. And even a bar of soap, if you were to take a bar of soap and carve it into the shape of a camera and paint it black to look like a camera, and you snatch that up and point at them, they're going to get out of there. They're going to move on about their business. But the biggest thing I've found is, changing your routine every day. I have a piece of paper that I look at every day when I get up, and it's, okay, well, you went there yesterday, don't go there today. Go to this road like you're going that way, and turn the other way, or keep them thrown off of their pattern. Because if they get you in a pattern, then you're working against yourself. And they work better once they learn your patterns. So change up every day.
Yeah, I've actually tried changing my there's only so many, I don't know, it depends on what type of area you live in. Like if you live in a city where there's only a certain type of way that you can get to a certain place. There's only one route to a certain place, or you can only take one mode of transportation to a certain place and you have to go there. And, like when you've been gang stalked for years and years and you've lived in, the same county or whatever, the same area, like not necessarily the same city, but just the same county, there are lots of people who already know who you are, and they also know your routines. They communicate about your locations, all the different, stores you go to, streets you go down, businesses you do, the places you do business with. They have all this data. And the longer you're gang stalked, the longer that list grows that they have to work off of. But what I have found useful is changing the time of day that you do your routines and stuff like that. Like changing, like if you usually go grocery shopping at 4 p.m., try going at 9 a.m. one day, and try going someplace that's not right in your backyard, like if you go somewhere a little further out, because I've noticed that when I do errands in the stores right near my home, I see everybody from my apartment building out there with me, and they're the ones gang stalking, So I go further out, and so that I can shop without, seeing them. Like I may have some stalkers in those other areas, but it won't be the people from my building because they don't tend to go that far. When I leave the house, they leave the house too. Right ahead of me or right behind me, but they don't tend to go that far. Like they don't get on the train and the bus, like I do. Typically, it's happened a few times, but not typically. But I do like Richard. I love your advice about getting people, getting some fellow, some targeted individuals to agree to be at a certain place that you're going to go at a certain time so they can observe and record on your behalf. I love that because that's what they're doing. This is what they do. They are staged and set up everywhere we go. So if we can learn from them, if we can mirror their tactics, that's wonderful because obviously it works, right? So why shouldn't we try it? And we're only defending ourselves and protecting ourselves. So I actually love that, I actually love that idea. Grab somebody, talk with somebody, another fellow TI, have them, like you said, just be present, to observe and report. Not observe and report, but observe and, kind of like be a witness.
Well, I've been
to anything that may happen.
I've been targeted for more than 12 years now, and every morning, any given morning or night that I choose to, I can take anyone else and do a video for you and drive right out of this yard and have the same routines mirrored every day, and I can bust them wide open, have them running around in circles, bumping into each other, and I can get it all on film. It's nothing because I've done it so many times. And even if I plan, if it's a certain day, I plan to go somewhere, and even if I have spoke the words, I'm going to go do this tomorrow, then, well, they already know about it. But I still switch them up. I'll ride by the place and laugh out the window at them as I go by. because they're expecting me to stop. They're expecting me to go there, and I just ride by them, wave, and laugh at them, and drive on out to the country and sit. And when they come around there, I'll say, "Oh, I hope you guys have got a full tank of gas, because I do. Let's go for a ride." And you know, I mean, there's many things we can. Well, we just have to be positive about coming up with solutions and a way to fight back, a way to disrupt their easy programs and make them have to work for that corrupt money they're getting. I do it every day. In this way, I can make them mess up. When you make them mess up and get crossed up, that's when they make their mistakes. That's when you get your proof evidence. And they're not under the example.
What was that last part you just said, Richard?
Well, if you mess them up, is when they make their mistakes. And that's when you get the proof.
If you're recording, yeah. If you're not recording, it's your word against theirs.
Well, you always record. I've got dash cams, trail cams in my truck and around my yard all the time. 24 hours a day, there's something recording.
Mm-hmm.
And I switch them up. I play musical.
I need to get to that point.
I play musical recorders. See, because then they don't know which one is recording. Although they have devices that can tell, they won't know until they are already here.
Well, that sounds like you're not being remote viewed, because if you were being remote viewed, they would be watching everything you do 24/7, and you wouldn't be able, they would know. You know what I mean? They would know exactly which recorder you're using and all of that. So it sounds to me like, you know, maybe remote viewing is not a problem for you.
Well, that's not.
I'm sorry, Richard. Remote viewing is something quite different than what you think it is. Remote viewing, the government came out with. It's when.
Sorry.
Well, why don't you tell me what remote viewing is then?
You talking to me or the lady that was just interrupted you?
Oh, the lady that laughed.
That's me, Linda. Hi.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Well, remote viewing is when 4 or 5 or half a dozen psychic individuals sit down at a table and the operator gives them a picture or a sketch to work with. Okay? And what they do is, this sketch is of a certain area in a different country, probably 5,000 or 6,000 miles away. And what they do is they come up with a solution. What's strange to them about this picture? But I'm not going to go any further. That's remote viewing. Remote neural monitoring is also a form of viewing, but it is not anything like remote viewing. Does that clarify?
Yes, remote neural. What I know, okay, even though I don't know, I may not know the proper terminology. What I know is that numerous individuals are viewing through my eyes. They can view what I'm seeing, and it seems like the access is unlimited. There's no limit to what they can view, see, you know, or how long, you know. There's no limit to the duration of time or limit to what they're able to see as far as what I'm viewing. That's what I know for a fact.
Okay, there's no limit. And we have 53 people here, and I'm sure we can get some other people up here who would like to share countermeasures, speak with Richard or Jesse or myself, and share something. Because okay, go right ahead.
I would like to make one comment about the remote viewing and the remote monitoring. There's a thing called trickery. Have you ever wrote your name on a piece of paper looking straight ahead and not down at the paper? Well, you can also write, meet me at Walmart at 6 p.m. 6 p.m., Walmart. I mean, you don't have to let them know. Again, we have to be smarter than we can't. Because we can.
Okay, I do that. I do certain things like that. Like there are certain things I do with my eyes closed as a permanent rule now. You know what I mean? There are certain things I just do with my eyes. I just started a permanent rule that there's certain things I will do with my eyes closed. So I do know about closing my eyes. And you do know that when you're writing, right, you're thinking about what your internal voice is speaking what you're writing. They are listening to your internal voice. You know, thought broadcasting. We all know this. Thought broadcasting, like, you know, your thoughts are audible to certain percentage of TIs. I'm sorry?
Our thoughts it doesn't work. It doesn't work all the time. It doesn't work all the time, and I have proof of that. They have to be in a certain area. They have to be where they've already got everything working and everything functioning. And if you go into a place, if you go into
your
a place,
apartment building, in your home.
Quincy Mass, you have to try to learn not to interrupt the other individuals, because it's not like talking in a room. Your voice will trail off for a second before the other person will start. So there is a time differentiation there. So you can cut someone off very easily.
If you go into an area where there is white noise, because that's something they use quite often, is white noise to cover up their stuff. But you go into an area where there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of noise, a lot of people, and you play your cards right, you can trick them. I've done it many, many, many times. I found a dirt road that was a dead end. I was curious. It was not on the map. It wasn't, you couldn't GPS it or anything. So I said, you know, that'd be a good road to get them to chase me down one night, which they do regularly. And I went down into the road, drove my truck out into the middle of a 8-foot tall cornfield, sat there, and they come right by me. Then I pulled across the road, blocked the road, and they had no way out. So you can't tell me you can't trick them and that they are doing it all the time. I've proved that that's not true.
It's a rotation. It's a group of them rotate. You know how a hospital has shifts? The doctors and nurses and emergency workers, they work on a 24-hour rotation. That's what it is. If you have numerous stalkers in one area, all in one small area.
Excuse me, Quincy. Unless you have documentation of that, don't say it, because we don't like disinformation. So if you have documented proof.
Of what?
Who told you they have shifts like that?
My 18 years of experience. My 18 years of experience being stalked. Every apartment building I move into, every apartment building I move into, there are certain people who never sleep. You see them no matter what time of day you wake up. If you're up at 9 a.m., noontime, 6 p.m., midnight, when you're awake, they're awake. And this is because they work in shifts. Like they take turns monitoring you. That way they can take turns if they need to go out to the grocery store or deal with, to work or whatever they're doing. This is why I'm saying if there's a large number of them right in your area near your home, they don't have to, it doesn't matter that you can't whether you can trick them or not, because they take turns monitoring you.
Okay. You're 21 minutes for the whole call so far, and the whole call is about an hour and a half.
I'm responding to what you said. You said unless I have documented evidence, and you said what evidence do I have that they work in shifts, and I'm responding, and now you're telling me I'm dominating the call. So that's fine. I'll be quiet. The rest of the call, everybody else can speak.
You have R&M, right? So you have V2K, correct? Do you have V2K, ma'am? Quincy, Mass, do you have V2K?
V2K. Oh, you mean people talking in my head?
Yes,
I haven't heard people talking, but I've heard sounds.
Okay.
I've heard sounds.
How did you figure out that there are shifts? Because my two people sleep when I sleep.
Well, that's because there's only two. If you don't okay.
I don't sleep. I have 3 people.
Ma'am, Lindsay, Mass, you're really noisy there. I don't know whether you're outside or what the story is, but as soon as you get your sound problem squared away, you're welcome to unmute and speak again. We have 55 callers here, and I'm sure we have some interesting stories or content. Hi, Scylla.
Hi.
How you doing?
No, they're beating me up. No, I'm yelling too much at them. I have to get shielding.
Now, how was it out in California? Okay, Scylla, you've got some audio things going on there. You still have some audio issues going on there. Okay, you're quiet now.
I'm here.
Yeah, I know you've been getting attacked lately.
Yeah. I have to get shielding. Wow. The weather is nice, though.
That's good. What's the temperature there?
I think it's like 50.
Oh, wow, that's good.
It's supposed to be nice in Western Mass next week.
Yeah?
Oh, I don't know about anything
Yeah,
else, but it's nice weather.
well, that's good. I'm so happy to hear it. No, 50 is really nice this time of the year. 50's great. Yeah, we've had a warming trend go through, actually. We had that gale. Did you get the gale force winds?
I guess so. Yeah, I was in the other day.
Yeah. You should give me a call, Scylla, tomorrow, because you don't sound good. And
it's only because of yelling.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to mute myself for a while and let you guys take over the floor. And we've got Jessica Paul and Scylla. Fix your phone, hon. I'm going to mute you, and if you want to speak, you can unmute, but you have some issues with your system there.
Hey, Frank, this is Gary. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. I certainly can.
I just sent you a video to your email. It's how to make a microwave gun. I don't know if you've seen that. It's a rather new video. There's been quite a few YouTube videos that have come out just in the last month on how to make microwave weapons, how to make, I think they're called EMP. It's like a electrical device that knocks out, cell phones or any electrical appliance. And that one that I just sent you, I just sent it like 5 minutes ago. That's a pretty telling. I mean, they've got 17-year-old kids putting together these weapons. So I hope you get a chance to watch that. One thing that I've noticed, I try to keep up as best as I can anytime I see a YouTube video that has anything to do with new information on targeting. And I came across one the other day and that, the video wasn't important. What was important was the comment section underneath of it. And they had these low-level perps. They seemed like they were kind of like street thugs, and they were very young, uneducated. And, some of the lower-level perps, to me, it seems like they think that they think that what they do to us is a joke. They think that it's funny. And, some of these 19-year-old, 20-year-old, 21-year-old kids that are doing this to people, they don't understand. They were brought up in an entirely different world. They were brought up in a gaming world where, they don't have to deal with the consequences. They grew up, blasting people away on video games. And so when they get a chance to do this in real life, they're very apathetic to any actual damage that this does to a person. So I hope you get a chance to watch that video. It's a really disturbing one, but we need to start saving. I don't have the capacity right now to save videos like that because I don't even have a computer at the moment. But that's a really good video, and I think could probably even be used in a court of law.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Yeah, I just looked at it. It'll be a first watch instead of watching the election news. God, I'm so tired of listening to that.
Hey, Frank.
Yeah,
And it's everywhere.
I had to cut it off.
Hey, Frank. Can you drop a link to the video in the chat, please?
I certainly can. Give me a couple seconds.
I appreciate.
You want to do an after call tonight?
If there's an interest.
Okay. Well, we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah,
just
I'll grab
the
that.
link. I just dropped a link in the chat about the, what do you call that? This computer-generated thing that's going around, making us, taking away our unalienable rights and our freedoms through the fascist state. Yeah. It's actually, they're requesting evidence that they've isolated the virus around the world. And these Freedom of Information Acts or requests are coming back without any information. It says we do not have that information.
Oh, they don't want to come up with any information on anything. They don't want you to have any kind of information.
Right. So if they don't have any information justifying their actions, then how can they impose their will through these different, quote-unquote agencies and down to the level where, you can't buy or sell unless you got a mask on?
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
I saw someone.
Go ahead, Frank.
No, go ahead, sir. Go right ahead.
I was going to add to what he was saying. It's going to get a little deeper than that because I understand they claim they have found a vaccine. So how can they impose the vaccine without any information? A mask I don't wear, but they're talking about imposing the vaccine or claiming they've got one that works. So I don't know.
Well, the normal trial period for a vaccine is years. And they're trying to blow this vaccine out the door in months without proper testing on like lab rats and whatnot and lab animals. And we're going to be the lab animals. I don't think so. Do you like that idea? I don't.
No. I've done and put the word out. They better not be trying to give me one. And if I'm next or close to anyone screaming and hollering and saying no, well, I might go down right then. But they're not doing it in my neck of the woods.
The website I dropped is Principia-Scientific, and on the home page there's a link to an interview with Dr. McCullough talking about Operation Warp Speed. I haven't watched it. I'm gonna go do that now. There's a really good video of a woman. I think she's a doctor standing outside what would be National Institute of Health in, I think, in either Ireland or Great Britain. And I was able to download the video. It's on their player on the site, but if you look at the information on the site, if you right click and you go to view page info and then click media, you can scroll down and you can find the video and you can actually download it. It's about 2 minutes long. It's pretty good. The whole thing is how do we hold these criminals accountable? That's key.
What the? Here comes that video you were looking for.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hey, Frank.
Yes, sir.
This is Mark Dawson, man. How's it going?
How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing great, man. We exchanged numbers, I guess, a couple of weeks ago, man, and I've been trying to call you. and I can't get a hold of you, man. I don't know if I got the wrong number, or maybe if I wrote it down wrong, or what. Remember, I was going to have you, help me out with my son's mother and kind of get in a conversation, maybe on the phone with us, and kind of explain to her a little bit about who we are, what we go through, and, a little bit of this and that.
When's the last time you called, and what did you use for a name?
Last time I called was, it'd probably be about 3 days ago. But you told me to give you a call on Thursday about 1 o'clock, but I wasn't able to call you then. I ended up having to work a little bit later, but is there a certain time I can call you again?
Yeah, call me tomorrow afternoon. And is it going to show up as Mark Dawson?
Yeah. My name's Mark.
Okay.
Mark.
All right, we'll do, because I don't see it in the call list. But
okay.
You probably didn't look through.
Does your phone receive text? Can you get a text?
Oh, yeah. 508-857-8334.
What was the first three numbers?
508-857-8334.
The first three numbers. 507 or 8?
Okay.
508.
Okay, got it. Okay. Thanks, man.
All righty.
And one more thing that I've been wanting to get on here and talk about is, I'm having a really hard time with my thinking, like whenever I'm at work or whenever I'm on the phone or whenever I'm trying to do something, man, they're like on my brain. And, it's like I can't think of anything that's going on. Like I can think it, and then like seconds later, it's not there anymore. Does this happen to you all?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Memory dampening is what I call it.
Mm-hmm.
And we can do a number on that.
This happens like whenever, I was in Bible study Monday night, and, trying to understand and listen, and I felt them attacking me real hard. I'll be on the phone with my kids or around my kids and trying to conversate with them, and I'll feel them hitting my brain and not allowing me to get in a conversation with my children. I mean, that is pathetic.
Oh, they think that's a hell of a joke. If they can keep you from communicating with someone, they think that's the biggest joke that they've pulled off. And you want to speak to your kids too. That's a sick bastard you got there. I'll tell you what.
It's bad, man. It's and it seems like it's getting worse. Like if I try to go out, go on a date or anything, it's kind of like that too. It's like I'm speaking to somebody. It's not even me. It's like they're trying to make me somebody else. It's sad, man.
Well, they're trying to make you look stupid by dampening your short-term memory. They're dampening you, so you're and you don't know what. So what you have to do is get her talking, I guess, until you can collect yourself.
Here's another question I got. Do you feel them attack your stomach like? Oh
yeah.
Can they give you gas? Like, can they fill your stomach with air and do something with your rear end like that?
Oh yeah. Yep. Oh yeah. They control. Are you all ready for this? Because everybody has their own ideas on things. This comes from the top. They can control your esophagus, your stomach, and your butt, and I will say your butt in its entirety, front and back. So it's not fun at all. You might think it might be, but it's not. It's definitely not fun.
I mean, they cause you to have gas. No, like I can feel. It feels like a snap of. I don't know how to describe it. Like it feels like I am having something put in my stomach, and then it feels like air, and then I just start farting.
I can't identify with that one.
Well, I mean, it's not. I mean, I don't know how any other way to explain it, man. But it's something I've dealt with. Like I won't even eat any food. Like I won't even be eating any food, or nothing. You know, I mean, it's just different. You know, it's different from your normal, you know, just having regular gas. It's just something else.
They can empty your bowels immediately and your bladder urinating. I have had intestinal problems for over a decade now, and it was to the point where they were emptying my stomach so fast that I couldn't absorb nutrients, and I had ulcers all the way from my colon down to my rectum because of them dumping my stomach. So they can really wreak havoc on your whole nervous system, I think.
Now you mean like not being able to digest your food?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they at first they thought it was they didn't know what it was. It was they said something like there's a bowel dumping disease where as soon as you eat, everything just comes right out. But now I know that it's not that. They decided it wasn't that, but that they were emptying. I lost 20 pounds in a month. I was anemic and all my hair was coming out because I couldn't absorb nutrients because they were dumping my bowels so bad that, So they can really wreak havoc on your nervous system big time. Sorry to be gross. I don't mean to be gross.
That's not gross. We're all the human animal here. You know, we've all got the same gear, so we've all got the same anatomy. So
you know that's got to be when they're in your nerve system like that. It's got to be an integrated circuit somewhere in your body, a semiconductor. Mm-hmm. Do you agree?
Don't they? Yeah, I do. But don't they go through your nervous system from your brain, like I don't know if it's the cerebral cortex, cerebellum, or which it is, but isn't that, Frank, how they can also from your brain?
Yeah, well, that's how they do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's how they do it, for sure.
Okay.
Can they do? But they can't do all this like that, and you know, with the probes and prods, and you know, mess with your valves and all this, unless you have some kind of circuit and chip in your body, correct?
Yeah.
No.
It works from your brain. I'll let you handle it, Tracy, because you know the same as I do.
Now, voice to skull, I know you don't need a chip or nothing like that, but to receive prods and all this and that, don't something have to be implanted in your body?
I think with today's technology, it doesn't necessarily, you don't have to be implanted anymore. Just depends. But it's so advanced now that it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be chipped to be able to experience that, I think. But I can feel them move my facial muscles, my involuntary limb movements. I can feel them, and this is a newer thing, I can feel them beam stuff into me to try to make me feel like someone else's personality or a false, like a synthetic emotion that's beamed through, whether it's a thought or a synthetic feeling type of thing too. They can, they can do.
Feel it come up against the left side of your head.
Is that it? Okay.
Yeah. We've got somebody in a coughing fit.
Yeah. I'm feeling more things on the left side of my head too.
Yeah, it'll feel like a pressure or a presence or whatever you'd like to call it, but what it is, a clump of thoughts that they're trying to implant you with.
Yes. Yeah. And I can feel it now. And when I think something else, or when I focus and concentrate on something and ignore that, I can feel it. It feels like it's bouncing off my head. It doesn't overcome me. It beams my head, and then it fades away.
You should be able to feel it, see it, and hear it. That's what I can do. That's what saves me, because I know exactly what's there and what it's trying to do.
Yeah. I'm getting
because I think
thoughts, like transmitted
some
thoughts.
part of their thoughts are coming down with it. That's what I believe, and I think that you are picking up some of what they are thinking, if not all of it.
Like I'm starting to feel it now, where
I agree.
Whenever I hear these voices goes, like, and I feel these transmits coming in, like I can feel it right before it starts to happen. You know how like you think of something maybe like right before you start to speak. Well, I can feel that, and I know the difference between me thinking of something and then I speak, and then when they transmit something to put it in my head, I can catch it before, and I'm starting to think of something else to counter it before they transmit it to my brain. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. Oh, totally. I can feel the difference now when it's synthetic and when it's me authentically. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, there could be, to try and pull up the thought, you might see a picture. Dump the picture. Think about something else. Because there's normally a picture or something they use to try and stir thoughts. So, just dump the picture.
Yeah,
move on.
Exactly. And I've been practicing that a lot the last month or two even. Even the last 2 weeks I've learned more, but that definitely does work. And I think it creates more independent thought and authentic of yourself, that they can't control you as much. They don't have as much, and I know it pisses them off. And I enjoy that. I can relish in the moment of when, a little bit of victory.
I noticed today that, victory is what you have. I noticed today that just listening to the election results all day long on my phone, they didn't like that one bit. Get totally absorbed in something to the point where they're not even in the picture anymore. And if you can do that, figure out which one of them, if any of them, is the entrainment voice. And if one of them or both of them are not the entrainment voice is actually the computer. And it's not entrainment. It is thought injection. And that's what it's trying to do.
Exactly. Yeah, I can tell the difference now when it is, like you're saying, it's more a computer than it is a person. And, now they're stepping on my head, taking what I was going to think. What about music? Because I know that they use music to entrain, psychologically entrain you too. Like, what's a good thing for that? They play it over and over, the same song over and over and over and over, to try to get me to listen, or pay attention.
Play something else. Play another song on the outside.
Okay.
Or just play Dave Case's CD. They hate that. I don't know why more people won't pick that up, because they cannot stand that.
Yeah. And I think you're right about the language thing, like listening to different languages.
Yep.
Because when I've gotten onto like French or even Spanish, but I mean I try to go one further, like Polish or French or something, and they can't hook up to my brain as easy if that's going on. You know what I mean? They can't they can't hook you in and to your brain as much. It seems like when there's a foreign language, for sure.
You know what you want to try? Try Chinese. Chinese.
Okay.
Yeah, try Chinese.
Okay, that's a good one.
Hello?
Do y'all have frequencies hitting y'all's head so bad where you have to feel like you're covering your head with your hand or shake your head?
No.
Yeah. It's like a fog. When they're really hitting me, it's like they're beaming my head. I can feel my head expand, and I get very foggy. It's hard for me to think at all.
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay, different. He was talking about pain. Go ahead.
Can anyone hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to add something, and it may sound bizarre, but it kind of goes along with the foreign language discussion. And it's kind of a funny story, actually, but it's bizarre at the same time. I had a new language translation app, and I speak a very small amount of a few different languages, so it's not a lot. And I wanted to give it a try to see like what would happen, because I've noticed that like if I just let my mind go, I'll get thoughts implanted or whatever. So I'm on the language app, and I let them speak for me, and I let them put the words in for me, and they were putting in words that I have never known in a foreign language, and they were accurate sentences. The translator was I don't know if that makes sense or I'm making any sense with what happened, but basically the words that I would think in my mind that I would see, I would write them into the sentence. It was like someone else was writing them for me, and they would be...
Don't ever do that.
Why? What's that?
It's called typing class. That's what I call it. They want you to, if you know how to type like I do, they want you to start typing things up there so they can see them. So they start typing back so you can see them. It's almost like texting, but you can see it all the time or not see it if you choose.
So I should just
You mean in your
block it
head,
out
Frank?
then?
Yeah, in your head.
In your head, do you see the words or then the typing? Because like sometimes I'll type.
Oh God! Don't look at it. Don't look at it. Okay. Don't look at it. Don't look at it.
Okay.
Just blow it off, and just say to yourself, "Go dark." That works.
I just thought it was an interesting thing because it was almost like proof of it in a way, because these are words that I don't even know.
Yeah, you don't want to know anything that is up there, because there are keywords that they will use to try and get a hold of your mind. There are different things, and if they start going, hey, just stop what you're doing and repeat it back to them aloud, which I don't like to do, but you're talking. You're not using your mind like they want you to. You're gonna really flip. This is actually a parallel. Okay? You are on one railroad track. They are on, in fact, another. They have been with you for X amount of years. For me, it's 9+ years now, as of October the 15th. So, they have learned every phrase that you know, just about, the way you say things, the way you do things, the the way you sit down on the toilet, if you will. And I'm not kidding. I'm not messing around here. They know your brothers, your sisters, your aunts, your uncles. After a period of time like this, you've spoken with them all on the phone. They know the phone numbers. They know their addresses. So they know everything about you and how you respond to a given question. Now, you have answered this question to various individuals thousands of times in 9 or 10 years. So they know predictively how you are going to answer the question. So they talk to the other perp or a mirror. I've coined it mirror talking. And they try and make you think that it's you who is answering. And you will have to sit down and think about it for a long time. Just remember the railroad tracks, the parallel. Okay, they're paralleling your thinking. It's actually a lot simpler and a lot more difficult than you think it is.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It definitely feels like that. Like there's the one track that's theirs, and then there's mine, and they're trying to entrain me to their track, or get my brain hooked to their track. Yeah, that's right on.
What they're after is your belief system. Your belief system is everything to you. What you believe in, your religion, your faith, your love of life, your love of everything. And don't let them defeat love within you. Ever. All right, I'm going to be quiet, and you guys can discuss that. But I've done a lot of research on it, and I've done a lot of anonymous. You're really scratching my ears out. If the perps don't do it enough. But I've done a lot of research, and a lot of this comes from myself. Okay? And I guess I'm smart enough to understand what they're trying to do. And that's make you think that all this stuff is occurring. Okay? But a lot of it isn't. Like, the reason they're trying to get a hold of your facial muscles, Tracy, is so they can give you the expression on your face of you about to cry. So if they can generate the look on your face and the way your stomach reacts, all emotions are built from the stomach up. So if they can make your stomach feel that way and your face look that way, all they have to do is dump those tear ducts, and they can do that too. That's the first thing they ever did to me, is dump tear ducts. I'm driving down the road, got tears running down my face, happy as hell, and I just couldn't understand it. But they've never done that since.
Yeah, that's happened to me too. Where they're just draining down my face, and I'm fine, but they're just, and I can feel when they start to zap me with it. I'm like, here it comes. They're going to do the crying thing or try to. That's right on, spot on.
And see, I will tell you, a lot of targets that get to your stage and my stage thought to be far gone, and the community will try and reject you. And it's because they haven't gotten that far yet, and they don't believe you. But a target like myself, who is at that level, will believe you. And I do believe you, and always have.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, it's that's why I think that everybody's phases should be respected so much, because everybody's at a different one, but it's, you know, and just because you haven't experienced it yet doesn't mean that, you know, it's not there. So, yeah, definitely.
Some people stay at the first phase for years.
Yeah.
And the first phase is hypnotic paranoia, to the point where people are afraid of their own shadow. That lasted 3 months for me, or thereabouts. And it's a terrible feeling, because you can't walk into a store because the perps are telling you, oh, well, they're calling the cops. And you believe it almost. So you don't go in the store, so you start getting hungry. Right?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So there's a lot of things, but just tell yourself, there's nobody in the store looking at me. They're in there to make money, and they're after my money. So they want you to buy something. They're not going to hurt you. And if they do, you've got a phone right in your hand. So, you know, this is where you, in the beginning, really strongly look to the law as your friends, because during this hypnotic paranoia, it is a point in time when the cops can help you, because if somebody does hurt you, which they're not going to, they will be there to help you.
Yeah. Yeah, I've gotten to the point, too, now where I avoid, like, you know, when I think there's stuff might be going on around me, that they're doing visual stuff to try to psychologically do stuff to me, I won't even look. I'll just be like, yeah, whatever, and I'll walk into the store. But I've gotten to where, you know, the gang stalking, it's more mental, voice to skull, and torture stuff now. It's not the paranoia thing anymore, but I've gotten where I will look at people's lips when they're speaking, because they do so much, you know, noise over whatever it is they're doing, overlay, or they make it seem like someone is saying something when they're not saying that at all, to try to make you paranoid. So I'll look at their lips to make sure. And I've caught them lying so much, you know, caught them in so much bullshit that was initially meant to make me paranoid, that I don't even, you know, I just go like, yeah, that's crap, you know, and I can see what they're really saying or not saying, you know.
A lot of times
and the person isn't
they'll
doing
come
anything
from
to
the
me at
road.
all. What's that?
Excuse me? Is that Mike?
Hello? Hello, can you hear me, Frank?
Yes, sir, I can. How's your throat?
I just wanted to say to you and that person, a lot of times when you're in those situations, that is a result of the continuous playing, the conditioning, the rote of the V2K or the subliminals intruding on your immediate environment, because if normal environmental sounds will stimulate your auditory center, sometimes it will also trigger this rote that they've been playing over and over again, you know, for you to have all these cues and conditioning. So that's where the confusion comes in, with where people might end up speech reading, because they are getting they're hearing something other than what the person is speaking. And I don't know if you're the one who wears the body cam, but you're better off to, because when you go home, if you have it on all the time and it's discreet, you can check it for yourself to see with closed captioning or whatever, to show that the words that person are speaking are the ones that they should be speaking, and not also trying to deliberately confuse you, because people will do that also. It's a mess.
Yeah, the captioning. It's a mess. The captioning.
It's like they're trying to attach to a loop.
The captioning, right? And what I did was I got a couple cheap security cameras here that have two-way microphones on them, and I now use, when I record audio from them, I use speech to text. So there's no ifs, ands, or buts. I'm not there making up what I think I hear. The apps are good enough where they can show you what's being spoken.
Right.
Even
right.
even if people are singing it or they're trying to sing song it here, they'll do a lot of times because I'm a musician. They'll try to make it sound like it's like almost a musical sing song type thing. It isn't. And the emotional thing, when you have the artificial emotions, at least for a musician, they'll try to do it by playing either a major chord or a simulated melody or a minor chord, which is the difference. They try to teach you between a happy feeling and a not so happy feeling, and so they try a lot of tricks.
Yeah, and I love music, and I'm a very like music can bring a lot of emotions, and I feel like that's when they really try to get me is when I'm listening to music. But I try to ignore it and just enjoy the music and sing and ignore and block them out. Yeah.
Think of how many people will get together and sing holiday songs or sing religious songs, and think of how emotional they become.
Right.
So that's a very powerful thing, and you have to be aware.
Yeah.
They use songs from adolescence, we'll say from 12 to 13 to 16, right in there. Songs that were around when you had your first love, we'll say, your first boyfriend or girlfriend. And they will work those songs to try and work those first emotions out.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead, Mike.
I've even played little tunes for my dog just as a playful thing, or to put under little videos I take of her walking in the woods here. And these people have gotten their own keyboard, whatever they do, and tried to mimic it outside or next door or wherever the hell they happen to be, because they're bored and idiotic or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah,
and that's how they are. So I'm be careful of that, because you might hear a tune or a rote thing played in your head or played around you at a very slow tempo also, where it's not readily recognizable. It's much slower, but your brain is still hooking into it. It's not an easy thing to do, but yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
I had a question, actually. So when you guys are talking about like recording people talking, I've had this happen where like I've had them use keywords through other people. Are those people actually saying that, or what's going on there? Like, because I've had that happen a lot, where other people will say certain words or certain things over again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You mean live people in if you're walking outside or in in public?
In public, over the phone, like in text.
For me, it's not always what you think it is. That's from my experience. They create a lot of smoke and mirrors to make it seem like more.
Right.
In my experience.
And they'll hammer those things home. They'll hammer certain things, anchor phrases. It's called anchor or trigger phrases or words. If they can get you to hear these things over and over again. I finally moved back to the same area I lived in when this started over 20 years ago. And I've had people come up to me in what do you call it here, in restaurants, and do some of the same things they did over 20 years ago, and that shows that, and they were in the next generation. So you see how long this goes on. So in other words, I had people that are young enough to be whatever at least kids or grandkids say to me.
Are these things that the people are actually saying, or
yes.
are they not? That's what I'm
No, they are, because A, I've recorded them, and B, I've been with other people who have heard them say it. And they're just non sequiturs. They're just words or phrases that may have some significance in your life, or they want it to. And they just constantly repeat it in any number of ways. I've even had people come up to me, as a few other people do, and start strenuously doing calisthenics in front of me, or at bus stops, in subway stations, lots of different weird stuff.
Hey, Mike, I'll be back in 5 minutes or so. Can you introduce me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things, too, that I have experienced is that they will reverse that, and I think it's a loop of the program in your head that when someone really isn't doing anything towards you or anything, they're just having a conversation, some of the words that they might say might trigger that in your brain.
Right.
Right,
and
Mike? Do you ever experience that?
That's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to be so that you are mistaking anyone in any situation that says that or does that as the enemy, and a lot of times after a long time, because of the way your brain is, you might not even be hearing that anymore. They can teach your brain to learn to hear that as a substitute by just making certain sounds in a certain rhythm or pattern. With keyboards or with whatever electronic stuff, and your brain will be fooled because you hear it so much, or you think you hear it so much, and you'll just hear that as your brain fills it in.
Yeah, exactly. And then I also can feel when they're doing word substitution, I can feel them dropping false phrases in my head, word substitutions. I always think if it's not there, they'll make it up, just to keep it on that loop. Keep your head on that
loop, and they want to see if, they want to see if you start to speak part of that in your everyday conversation, or even out loud to yourself if you're going a bit alone and going about your business, because that's proof of it being really absorbed.
But do you guys think that? Do you think that they make other people say these things though, or is because sometimes it's really weird stuff that's just not even a non sequitur in a conversation.
It's just a phrase that doesn't belong there. Yeah. I've had that happen, but usually it seems it's deliberate. And I've had other TI friends, though, who I accidentally said stuff to them.
Yeah. Right. I noticed that when even I'm at the grocery store, I can feel them starting to do forced speech, and it's stuff that they try to hide underneath in your daily, conversational types with different people. The way you have a conversation, I'll notice them trying to use those words. So I think that sometimes if there are people that are on mind control or remote neural monitoring around you, they can be saying things they're doing forced speech to them, and they don't realize it. Just like I've done that, where in the past when I didn't know this was happening, that they were doing all kinds of forced speech stuff, or using my conversations with the cashier at the grocery store to try to keep me entrained and controlled and impulse, if that makes any sense.
At what point though, do you draw the line between saying, okay, it might be that, to this person might be I know some people don't like the word perp on here, but I can't think of a better word at the moment.
Yeah.
At what point do you do that?
That's a hard one because sometimes when it's people who are your very close, longtime friends or family or whatever, it becomes more of you feel more of a betrayal, and because you have a history with them, you don't want to let them go, or you want to give them another chance.
Yeah, forgiving.
If it keeps happening repeatedly, or you notice things that are much more not as accidental or more deliberate, which I did with a couple of people recently, then you have to make a decision. And even if it is a relative or somebody you're involved with some way, that's a hard decision to make, and that's really your call. If they're being more helpful than hurtful, I don't know how much are you willing to be abused.
You have to have boundaries for yourself. Even in this stuff, you may not be able to stop the physical, the torture, and the V2K and the things that are going on, but you can have boundaries with people depending on, like Mike was saying, it's a family relationship, or if it's whatever level of relationship, business-wise or doctor's office, or you can still have boundaries that you can keep that will keep your sanity, I guess. You know what I mean?
You can. It helps. And the thing is, if you
it does.
You might be used as whoever you feel is doing that to you for whatever reason, for any length of time, they might have a specific niche that they want to keep you in, and a specific agenda and a specific place that they want to keep you in for whatever reasons that they need, which is just, that's just as abusive. But if they're being helpful to you also, and they're trying to be a friend for the most part, it's a hard call. The boundaries are you have to set them like you said, and and if it's just the things that are like idiotic, I have a couple friends who will do some really idiotic things when they're feeling okay and when their life is going okay. When their life isn't going so well, they don't do that. So that kind of drops off. And sometimes I'll say, come on now, that's enough. Whatever.
Yeah.
I just don't
and they
know.
misrepresent who we are to other people. And so keeping that in mind, it might not be intentional on someone's part that they're using them and they don't know they're being used. And so, you have to kind of gauge for yourself
Right.
and understand that they misrepresent me all the time. They lie and gossip and slander, and they misrepresent me and what I think, see, or feel independently, to some, technology track. So keep that in mind, when you're dealing with this and stuff like
it's
that.
a constant manipulation too, because even if we weren't involved, even if we weren't having this happen to us, and the people who are doing this to us, they have their own life pressures, their own social pressures, their own manipulations. Any number of them, just like we have more. But they're not without them, and so what we have to realize is we have to be careful and go the extra few layers, because it's been done for so long. It really has, and I'm no specialist in trying to overcome it or whatever. I keep my life to a minimum for whatever reasons, even though I don't want to, because it takes an enormous amount of energy just to resist it.
Yeah,
it goes on every day, whether I walk my dog in the woods or try to volunteer or whatever, and it seems like the pandemic made things worse. It seems like people
the
really
isolation,
yeah. So they're just out there trying to keep doing it, and just be aware.
I think they're taking
advantage
of the pandemic.
And if you have, if you hear noises, sounds, or whatever, and you are having what people call V2K, or sometimes I call neighbor 2K, because a lot of times your neighbors will try these little tricks on you to see how they can trigger you. And what I did was I just put my phone down a lot of times and it left it on speech to text. And it would just go by itself.
Neat.
Yes. I didn't do it all every time, but I would just let it go. And I have some neighbors who are Puerto Rican, and so there's a closed caption speech to text for that. Whatever.
Wow.
And I don't care what they're saying. I'm not interested in people's world, but I want to have documentation that what is being done is intentional. A lot of people say ignore that stuff, leave it alone. I understand what they're saying, but if you can document that it's happening to you, along with all these other things that come along, then you'll have more of a case for all of us. I'm done.
Did you say
it's late? I just wanted to tell you about those couple of things. Thanks.
Did you say
Mike.
that you
Thanks.
actually?
Thank
Did
you.
you say you actually recorded a voice?
I have, yes, and I sent them away to somebody who analyzes it for me. I sent several recordings off to somebody who does, I think, come to the calls here and there, and they analyze it and take it apart and show me what's going on within those things, or what's supposed to be sounds and voices or music. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Even people singing some kind of stuff.
So what was the testers saying, whether it was a real voice or some artificial voice?
They said it was signals that weren't supposed to be there.
Okay.
Because there was no echo.
Well, that's kind of strange, because if a voice recorder, the way a voice recorder is set up, it works off of vibration, and the vibrations are at a frequency that the human ear can hear and understand. If it's changed, if you speed it up, it goes too fast to understand. If you slow it down, it goes too slow. So the vibration coming in must be the same as a voice, and that would indicate that, well, if the recorder's picking it up to where the human ear can hear it and understand it.
Right, and the problem is the idea is I think I misinterpret it as such. When I'm listening to it, that might be part of it. That's the idea. I, after so long, probably listened to it, and my brain considered it like voices or whatever, and it most likely isn't. and that's the whole thing. And the fact that there was no echo or no something, I can't remember the terminology. There was no mirror of it or something, and they said that signal is not supposed to be there.
But listening to it with the human ear, after you recorded it, you could hear the voice.
I could hear what I think. I could, yes, and I'm trying to get across to you. I can hear what I think are voices.
Okay, but did the other people when they listen to it, they hear the voice?
Yes.
Well, then they would have to be suffering from the same thing you are.
Well, they're not. They're not. They're also a targeted person.
Yeah.
They're not. They said, I understand what you think is speech, or what you're hearing is speech, and that's why I want to analyze it.
Yeah. Well, if it comes out a certain amount of hertz at a certain frequency, which would be understandable to the human ear, it's actually vibrations per second.
Right.
It's played at the right speed, right, and the voice is heard by you and others, then, well, it's a voice.
Mm-hmm. It could be. I understand what you're saying. Are you understanding what I'm saying?
Yeah, I am. I understand that the signal's coming in, and the recorder picks it up, and when you play it back, you hear a voice on the recorder.
Yes.
And what that means is the signal coming in should have been an exact frequency of the human voice for anyone else to hear it. Yeah.
We hear what we think. In other words, they was telling me I hear what I think are people speaking, and to others it sounds like people speaking. I have people here also that will try to do the same thing, but because I happen to record this in an odd way and send it to him, he said it's not really voices. It's something else that they're getting you to believe are voices. You know, and he hears it too, and he can even repeat the phrases, whatever. But he said when you analyze it, it's actually not people saying it. Which that can mean what? I don't know, AI or somebody that's messing around with whatever Audacity or noises, right?
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff out there they have today.
But I mean, I don't know if Richard gets this, understands what I'm saying, or gets what I get. There is a lot of things out there.
I understand. I understand. Yeah. And the bottom line of it is a recorder is going to pick up whatever it records, whatever it hears.
That's all I care about. That's all I want.
Right. And if it comes out to where you hear it and everyone else that hears it, then it had to have been at the exact same frequency as a voice.
It had to be. It's a good trick, right? It's a good copy, right?
Now, in some cases, if it's something scratchy or you didn't understand it, and you had the equipment, let's say, you could put that recording into your equipment, and you could play it slower or you could play it faster, and you might actually be able to hear something different than something scratchy.
Right. And that's why it takes him a little while, because he does this for a lot of people, and says, I want to look at it a lot more closely, and he has done work for on other examples from people that aren't in the TI community or involved with the TI community, and really didn't want to believe what he was hearing or finding, but had to because his analysis showed it to be true.
Well, the military kind of sort of had the same type of machine. They would speed it up or slow it down to where the vibrations per second would come out different, so you couldn't really hear the voice. And unless you did change the speed, you couldn't hear it. So.
And it's more noticeable to me at night physically if I use bone conduction headset and listen to a foreign language or music. I can tell and I can feel it come through the room and through, I guess, through my head, my body. I'm not sure, because Sophia will wake up and she'll hear it too. She'll pay attention to it.
Yeah.
So she's right there looking, and she's looking in the place where, in the direction where it's supposed to be happening. So what do I, what do you do?
Yeah. Well, animals will pick up different frequencies or levels of frequencies than we do. In fact, they might hear words where we can't, and they hear so much more than we do. But yeah, that's interesting.
And they hear her, and I've even heard they've even done it loudly enough when I first wake up, and if I have to go into the bathroom or the kitchen or something, they even say the first syllable of her name, because they try to get your attention and make that a form of a trigger. So they'll say the word S-O. So.
Yeah, they tried to play some vibrations over and over and over, which just came out as vibrations to me. But eventually, during the vibration, I could hear where they were trying to get it to where I could understand it.
Right.
But they never did. Well, I didn't let them do it. I made sure I was distracted doing something else. But that's interesting. I thought I heard the lady speaking say that, well, I think the question she was asking was maybe she had did a recording.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. But you understand what I'm talking about. After they do it for such a period of time, you can be led to believe that what you're hearing is actually speech. And then after that, if you get conditioned to that enough, they can go back to just playing sounds or tones, whatever, to trigger that event over and over again. I have that.
Oh, absolutely. Anybody that understands music and how music is made should understand that, because a string playing a guitar or a violin or anything like that, carrying a certain note, has a certain amount of vibrations per second, and it puts out a certain sound. Peter Frampton, a rocker from the late 70s, early 70s, was well known for making his guitar speak. And,
I remember that, sure. They're having a harder time with me trying to get that stuff into my head in a way, because I like classical music. And classical music is it's not formulaic. It's not necessarily repetitious and made to be a simpler form. So it kind of has to be woven in there. It's not an easy trick for them.
Yeah, Peter Frampton used Jeff Beck's Beck Bag, and it actually was an Altec Lansing driver with a tube on it that Jeff Beck would stick in his mouth, and then he would mouth the sounds of the Beck Bag.
Right.
Yep.
So I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to let that other person, I forgot which two of those people were talking about when I first started talking about, but that's all.
Well, thank you, Mike. I appreciate it.
Sure, I'll be listening.
Anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, in case you are not familiar with him, that is Michael Mason. He's getting to be quite a legend in the community, I think. And he was doing calls years and years ago. And quite a knowledgeable gentleman. If you need any help from him and you're from New York, you're in luck. His name and phone number and email address are on our site, but it's for New York people. And
I was involved with a conference call years ago, and a strange thing happened. I was using an app that showed it was a voice analyzer, because the people that were coming on my call were not trusting of the other people that were on my call. They thought they were all other people than who they said they were so to mollify them, I used an app that analyzed people's voices. And oddly enough, it showed that the people who came on my calls were, in fact, who they were, usually said they were. But it said that the moderators, who was supposed to be several of them, were all the same person.
Wow, that's cool. Well, not.
I don't know, but it kind of upset a few people. I remember that. And I didn't want to say anything because I thought the guy, maybe whoever it was paranoid, and they don't want people to know who they are, or maybe had trouble with public speaking, or I don't know what they wanted. And so I kind of kept it quiet because I didn't know what to think of it. And they said, yeah, it was showing that was all the same person. So that was the first time that, I realized when they were having conference calls only on TalkShoe, that there's a lot of problems among the community. People are not who they say they are, and you've got a lot of visitors who might seem well-intended, but you really got to be careful.
Yeah, and the Korg M1 was a keyboard that's been around for a long time. I don't know what they call it now, but that keyboard there, you could sample voices and use it just the way Michael is talking.
Right. Oh, you can do it with a lot of them. Yeah, it's not something that it's, everyday people can do it now, even from their phone. You can put apps on your phone that you can record and mix and edit and whatever. And it's not a problem for people who like music, or they do beats or whatever they call it now, mixes. And so we're susceptible. We don't know who's playing what in the background. If you listen to a lot of the conference calls, in the background are trigger phrases and trigger sounds and a lot of different things. You'll hear people laughing. You'll hear a lot of different things like that, saying phrases or words. And what can you do? We just have to be more aware of it.
Yeah, and you have to understand, too, there's a lot of people that come on the conference calls that are just pranksters, like some of the anonymous people we have come on. And they're just pranks, and all they do is get a laugh,
They want to come on for its entertainment, and they got nothing better to do. They wouldn't. I try to keep them out when I was doing it, because you wouldn't want people into a support group if you had cancer, or if you had Parkinson's, or you whatever. They don't have people wandering in just to fuck with somebody. You don't have people wandering into a support group just to fuck around and say, I feel like messing with this person. No, stay home. Go someplace else. I get that here. I'm sure people from this area come on to the calls just to see what's going on. I don't care. But anyway, I hope I have a peaceful night, and I'm glad you were talking about your own targeting, because it gets really complex and layered as you get older. And your brain starts to just get a little bit mired in the mud there. So we got to keep our heads above it. I hope you have a peaceful night, everybody, and I'm just going to listen now.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
He's a really nice guy.
I just want to say thank you for that information, because that is helpful.
Yeah, very knowledgeable.
Yeah, recorders are very dependable on what they pick up most of the time, and a lot of people are talking about the things they hear and pick up and record. But if you have a recording of that nature, hold on to it. Try not to let nothing happen to it.
Yeah, I'd like to just touch on one more thing that the perps use, and that's time. And it's not time displacement or anything like that. I'll give you an example. You can fire up your phone with the free conference call app and you can fire up your computer. And if you get them far enough apart, you'll see the difference in time between the two of them. So that's one thing they use. And they also will go after anything and everything you have in your search history, websites you've been to, and there are so many different aspects of time that the perps use. And there is the difference between the perps hitting your cochlea, which is what they do, and the sound that has to come through your eardrum to the cochlea and then to the brain. This is called the efference copy. And they use this all the time. If it seems like they're a jump ahead of you, that's the reason. That's all. You guys have fun. Okay, Sovereign Man, did you start punching in that call? Sovereign Man does after call. Sovereign Man, you still with us? I don't see him. Yep, there he is. Sovereign Man, you awake in there? Get up. It's time to get up. Get up. Sovereign Man. Sovereign Man. He's getting away.
He's usually there somewhere.
Yeah, no, he's here. That's not the problem. He is just incommunicado.
Uh-oh.
Oh, God.
He's recording Z's.
Yeah. Oh, I know what might get him. Let me see. I'll mute him because that'll wake him up. Well, that should have woke him up right there. You are muted. You are unmuted. You are muted. And still nothing. Sovereign Man. Oh, let me see if I can get him on Skype.
Ring that telephone.
I don't think I have a phone. Sovereign Man, your mic's open, so you must be open. I just heard a perp in the background, the static. Somebody else's perp, not mine, going, die, die.
Uh-oh. No thanks.
Anyway, I'm going to post his, I'm hanging. I'm going to post his information here. All right, that should catch his attention because it's going to be an alert that's going to slide out.
He usually comes back around after about 12 or so.
Yeah, well, it's 11:51 Eastern, so he should be around. Remember the 5th of November, Seth's posted. That was a good movie. I like that.
Yep. Yep. But a tape recorder is something else that everyone should probably try to keep around as much as possible. You never know what you might pick up.
Oh yeah, 100%. I agree with that. Any kind of small tape recorder that you can hold on to. A lot of people say don't get digital, get analog, but I don't see any reason why you cannot use a digital.
That's right. You can, and I do use them, and there's a switch on most of them that it's like sound activated, so it'll sit there unnoticed and undetected until there is a noise or something goes on, and then it'll come on. So.
Yeah, I've used Audacity, and I had recordings of these people talking whatever they talk, and a handheld recorder. I had a female saying she was nervous, and I had that recorded, but I lost both. One got stolen, my laptop got stolen, but I had a lot of recordings with these people making comments. But I don't know if it was V2K, but I just definitely had it recorded. So the point is, you can pick them up. You can pick up what these people say. And
oh yeah,
I had a bunch recorded. Yeah.
Well, another thing then is every time you get anything, audio, video, whatever you get, make sure you share it with enough people that it can't really go away.
Yeah, I took a recording once of tape recorders, just the little EVP recorders, in each of my rooms, and in one of the rooms, it was recording for several hours. I could hear them talking in the background on this recorder, and then somebody enhanced it for me, and they were saying, "Shh, be quiet, listen to her," and you could hear them, saying stuff in the background. It was, it was neat that it picked that up.
Sovereign Man, your mic's open. Oop, disappeared again.
Yeah, I mean, I've even had them. I had them recorded saying, "Well, should we kill them?" On Audacity. They were debating, whether to kill me or not. It was a guy and a female talking back and forth. And a lot of times things what they do is they I don't know if to leave an open mic, but you can actually hear them talk between themselves about the next, comments or what they intend to do or want to do. But if you get Audacity and then you learn to filter things down, you can actually hear a lot of things. Amy Holmes actually taught me about that, and I did get a lot of conversation between these perps. It's just unfortunate the laptop I had it on got stolen. So, but I'm sure I could do it again. They're constantly talking, but you wouldn't notice because it is something that this Audacity system will pick up. You can't hear it, but when you break it down, then you can hear things. It's really amazing. I'd advise any TI that gets B2K to download this Audacity system and start recording. I'm going to do it again myself, but I had a lot of recordings of these B2K people, and it's just unfortunate my laptop got stolen.
Yeah. If you get anything good, they're going to try to take it. So be sure to share it in any way you can to whoever you can.
I had a question for you guys about, since you say they manipulate the audio, what about visual?
Oh, yes, they can manipulate it while you're taking it. They can block you from taking it. I've had my screen on my smartphone go completely green while I was videoing. So when I tried to upload it, play it back, it wouldn't play.
Yeah, when we were around the White House, all the phones went white face on them, which is the perps were still there though.
Yeah.
But I mean more like, can they create like a visual hallucination?
I understand that they can. It has never happened to me, but they can supposedly create holographic images. I have never seen any myself.
I did one, and it was such a joke. I laughed at it, didn't pay it any mind. It was easy to tell that that's what it was for me, and they've never done it again.
I think it's happened a couple of times, but not frequently, because there's been a few things that I've seen that I'm like, there's no way that that's even actually going on, right? That's too weird.
Okay, Sovereign Man. Going once, going twice. Sovereign Man. We'll give him a few more minutes.
Wait a minute, are you guys Skyping as also?
I was trying to get a hold of him that way, yes.
Oh, I thought you were simultaneously Skyping while doing the conference call, because some apps are like that, like you can Skype and add a link for calling at the same time.
Yeah, I've got an extremely hot service that I can do just about anything on it, along with the mixer that I have.
Oh, okay.
I'm just trying to get this Sovereign Man. Come on. Okay.